Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's session. A truly inspiring and practical conversation about navigating life changes at middle age with the power of resilience and perseverance. We are honored to be joined by Christopher Williams, the name that sounds out in the world of business strategy, CRM solutions, and digital transformations. But today he joins us with a more personal lens. With over 20 years of experience in the tech industry, Christopher has worn many hats: technical consultant, cybersecurity advisor, CRM expert, and more recently, the founder of Nordic Consulting and leader at Dr. Leads. So he helped countless professionals to secure and optimize scale their businesses. And in this session, life changes at middle age using resilience and perseverance, Christopher brings his trademark honesty and practical wisdom to talk about transformation, not just in systems but in self. So, whether you are restarting your career, launching a business, or rethinking your purpose, this session will leave you with a renewed sense of direction and strength. So now we'll ask question to the Christopher. That Christopher, thank you. First of all, thank you very much to join our show. And I will just ask you a question: one personal journey, the turning point at middle age, from IT engineering to entrepreneurship. How you think and how you say about this?
Thank you for having me, first of all, Dr. Habib. Where we started was, I had been in the IT industry for 23 years, and pretty much I was trapped in a system that rewarded burnout and punished creativity. And that itself was being the 9 to 5 IT professional, technical support engineer, etc. It was a great job. It was great, but I wasn't free, and I was constantly fixing things for others, but I was not fixing anything for me. And there was this burning desire in my early years, when I was a teenager, to have my own business, have something that's mine that I've built myself. And that basically, I met my partner at the time, and the fire burnt out, and I just ended up in the system being 9 to 5. And I was there until 2021, when I thought, hey, I can't be controlled by these big corporates. I don't want to be forced to move to another state in a colder environment by a corporate. Why don't I build my own freedom? And that's where Nordic Consulting was born. Essentially, at the time, when you're in business, when you're working 9 to 5, it's just so easy to live outside your means and lose control of your position in that way. The idea was that there was going to be a side hustle, make a bit of extra cash, get rid of the waste, and start living within my means. And that's where the dream began. And it's been quite a journey. Where we started was the idea of drop shipping. Great concept. However, when you're working a full-time job, there's a lot of work. You've got customers to deal with. What happens if something doesn't show up? And I started building out this website. I looked at it, I'm like, this is good, but it's expensive. There's customers that could need my support, but I'm not able to provide that because I'm working a full-time job at the same time. And there's a lot of overheads. There's a few overheads. So I'm like, let's cancel what I've done here, shelve it, and come back to the business idea later on a minimal overhead type model. And for the next 2 years, it was finding that business model that would be fluid enough to be able to quit my job and start building. So the natural progression, and after registering Hypnotic Consulting, was suddenly I wanted to change my mindset. Was like, so I was seeing opportunities everywhere, and it's not only in these midlife crises that we have. You can go down a bad path, or you can go down a good path. I feel like what happened for me was once I registered that business, things just started to fall into place and flow. And that's the big thing for me. The first opportunity that came up was I was at the gym and they had a special deal for personal trainers, 5 for $200. I'm like, okay, let's see what this does. Didn't really want to do the training, but when I went to the trainer, he gave me these concepts that just really were useful to fix myself up. I got to be right before I can be a leader of a corporation, you know. So that was the first change I did, was getting regular with the gym by having a trainer train me and coach me. Then I suddenly had the urge to want to give up the vape. That thing was in my mouth 24 hours a day. So I had the urge to get rid of that. And I got some assistance from a person I knew. And he led me into the world of awareness. And that's where things really started to change, because I was thinking, when I was doing these awareness practices, I was being in the now and not in the past, which is conceptual, or the future, which is conceptual. What's happening right now in the present is what's happening. We can control the present, but we can't control the past. We can't control the future. So essentially, that first concept that I learned was the step towards flowing down the path of building this business. We fast forward to January 2023, and I actually left my corporate job at Toyota Finance and went to Superfund as a contractor on a 12-month contract, and that was through Hypnotic Consulting. That was the first customer we had, and that day, the opening day of the business was really great. The first paycheck came in. Yes, we were still going time for money on a business model type thing, but the business had started, and very different to what most contractors do in IT. I actually I started building out other parts of the business at the same time. And at that stage, I was building a podcast based on my journey from being an IT professional to a business owner. The exciting thing here was, after 18 months, I was told, hey, your contract's going to be finishing in June 2024, and you're going to be training your replacement because we're outsourcing. And this was the moment when I was not shocked. I got upset because I had built all these background items in the business. So I was prepared to just go straight into the business and start earning clients and income for the business. So what happened? I was not upset. I was like, yeah, this is my opportunity to actually become the CEO of Hypnotic Consulting. And pretty much what I did there was, in the background, I was working on a lot of CRM systems and learning the ins and outs of Go High Level and HubSpot and a few other CRMs. And I was also doing a lot of continuous learning. So I did a lot of memory training and reading books, read a book once a week, learn to speed read is a good concept, and just keep learning, keep sharpening that saw. But I was a little bit scared. There was a bit of fear, but they gave me 3 months notice, and I worked there for a couple of weeks, and then I got a job doing cold calling in the background. I started cold calling people. I'm like, this is interesting. If I can cold call enough people, I can start getting leads in for my business, and I can start selling stuff for other people as well. I thought this is sort of an unlimited opportunity here to be able to expand the business, and I don't need to be working at this corporate and training up my replacement. Why don't I just give my notice in now? This was probably one of the most craziest things I did, but one of the proudest moments of my transformation to digital nomad was actually handing in the towel and saying, hey, I quit. I'm done. I'm going to start my business. I had nothing but the clothes on my back, and the roof over my head. Probably one of the biggest risks I've ever taken, but it was worth it. It was probably a bigger risk than I was expecting, but I did that. And then I thought, I've only got 2 weeks now to actually transform this business into something that's going to start bringing in income. So I went to an event. I met a business coach, and she said, you need to get a part-time income. She said, can you ask your current contract owner if he can work part-time? So I went back to them. I came calling back to them and said, hey, there's been a change of circumstances. Just need to have part-time work until the end of the contract. They agreed to it. So this was the transition period from being a full-time worker to being a business owner. 2 days a week we were open for business, and we were out there getting leads and just networking with everyone. The earliest part of the thing was actually working out where these leads were, and essentially it was networking that was the main driver. And I hung around the hills area of Sydney, and I went to the local council in the hills, and the lady said to me, do this. She gave me a list of tasks to do, and I followed all those tasks. And I made a bit of a network around me. So joined the Hills Chamber, and I also went and visited a few BNI groups. Eventually, I joined the BNI group, and by the time this all finished, by the time I was full-time working for myself, I was ready. There were some big lows during that period. But because I had built that network, I had a bit of support behind me, and something I'm very appreciative for is that support network I built. It sort of got me through some really rough times. I had an office that I was working at, and we had a basketball court. So every time when I was a bit stressed, I'd go up to the basketball court, throw a few hoops. We had an opening for the business. In June last year, it was the start of the end of my marriage as well. So my wife didn't want me to be a business person. She wanted me to work full time. I didn't want to do that. So you'll notice you'll notice a few changes that will come in, and they'll just naturally come in. If you just go with the flow, don't fight it. Essentially, you get to the other side in a safe manner, you know. Yeah.
Christopher, thank you for explaining this. My question is just about the building with purpose. What lessons learned from what lesson you have learned from founding your this you can say tech deal maker and Dr. Leads. Can you please explain about this?
So tech deal maker and Dr. Leads. Okay, so essentially, what's happened over the last 12 months out in the wilderness, we sort of tried a few different things, and I met a man called Chris Mackey, and he's a business coach. He said to me, he asked me two questions. What are you? And what's your value prop? And he told me that basically what I am is Dr. Leads, and the value proposition is my leads guarantee. But the lessons that I've learned here is that you've got to have clear differentiation between yourself and your competitors. And you've got to have a clear problem that you're trying to solve as well. And that doesn't usually come to you until you've actually tested different prototypes for your products. That's where the example of the drop shipping and the podcasts and all the other little things I've been trying in the past just didn't work. In fact, at one stage we were trying to take on SEO. It was not liquid enough to actually be profitable, so we scrapped it. And eventually we found the product where the missing market is in the CRM space, fixing the visibility of your existing leads and pretty much scoring them and reactivating them. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, the lessons that we learned were you need to be able to test and.
So okay, and another question which is from the audience, I will just highlight here in the show so that you can also see it. It was actually what was the single hardest decision you had to make when restarting at midlife?
Single hardest decision. Okay, I'm restarting midlife. Okay, it was. Just trying to think of that one. Can we come back to that question in a second?
Yeah, you can see on this. Okay, okay. Later on, we
Come
can
back to
come
that.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Another question from the audience. Just I want to show you here. How do you maintain motivation when progress feels slow?
Okay, so this is where I get my motivation from. I've got the ability to just persevere. Sometimes you just need to just take a break, step outside, go for a walk, and just write your thoughts down in a book, and think of your successes that you've had that day. It's a tricky one to actually keep that motivation going, but what I would do is I would look at where I was versus where I am now, and that would give me the motivation to keep going. Or I would go to my network around me and rally some support, and just pretty much you bank off your business coaches. If you have a very good business coach that you can lean on, that's generally where you can get motivation when progress feels slow. But with my business, it's been slow and steady the whole time. So what I've done is I've actually purposely gone slow so I can survive, so the business will eventually get to a stage where it's at a profitable level. So pretty much don't rush it is the main concept here. Let it flow like a river.
Okay, thank you very much. And another question was just showing on the screen. How did your tech and business knowledge help you in your personal transformation?
That's a good question. So the business knowledge that I've been learning has sort of, I wouldn't say business knowledge as such. It was a natural flow when I decided to actually start a business that sort of pushed me down a road of personal transformation. Being trapped in an unhappy marriage for however long I was in there, and feeling like things just were not going the way I had dreamed of when I was a child. Pretty much was the motivation that I used, and once I started that business, it just was natural flow of going to a personal trainer, giving up the vape, learning about awareness, learning using books to improve myself. I had to do all this to actually be able to run a business. So it's sort of switched around. It's more like the personal transformation actually gave me the business, actually helped me to use my business knowledge and technology knowledge to start a business. So sort of got to turn the question around a bit. There's more the personal transformation that created the business.
Okay, thank you. And other question is just is the single last question, and then there will be only one last question. And this question is just showing on the screen. That is, what advice would you give someone afraid to leave a secure but unfulfilling job?
This is a tricky one. Okay, so first of all, what you need to do is weigh up, do I have time to take on more work? This is what I essentially did. And the next thing you need to do is think, I'm not going to quit my job right away. You've got to build it first. So what you need to do is actually register a business. And then from there, try different things. I tried 2 or 3 different concepts before I actually was ready to quit. You'll actually find that you'll know the right time to quit your job. It won't be, you'll never, ever have the perfect time to quit a job. You just got to take the leap of faith and just have faith in your decision, and that everything's going to work out. The other thing you do is always give more than you receive. And this was one of the first lessons I learned when I actually was part-time in the business. And I'm no longer in BNI anymore, but they are big on givers gain. So that was one of the first things I learned, was give more and then don't expect anything in return, and things will naturally come back to you. It's like in Australia, like the boomerang. You throw the boomerang and it comes back. So you're never going to feel secure completely, but You got to have faith in your idea and concept, and just take the leap. Find some good people around you. Go to local business chambers, make some friends, get some support. They usually cost about, in Australia, $60 to go to an event. You don't have to join. You can just go to an event, just meet some people, get a bit of a network around you, register your business, keep networking for a few months, wait for that signal to quit your job. For me, the signal was a redundancy, but your inner compass will know naturally when the time is right to your gut sort of thing. You just go to your gut feeling, and yeah. But I do need to put a disclaimer in that I can't. What I'm saying is based on my own experience, and I can't guarantee that that could be the best fit for everyone, if you know what I mean. You need to have some business knowledge as well. I would read a few business books, learn a few, just do some learning first, just about sales, marketing, do some basic, get some basic understandings as well. But have a side hustle for a little bit. Try to see what you enjoy working on.
Okay, thank you very much. And is the last question: can you name one daily habit that strengthened your perseverance?
Meditation, mindfulness meditation. And one person that has the best meditation and the best system in place is the True Quit system. They basically, you become aware of now, what's here, and you just watch your thoughts. Your thoughts are separate from what you're aware, what you can see, hear, smell. That practice, continually doing that every day, got me grounded enough to have the confidence that I can do this. The other skill is negotiations. So if you're in debt, negotiate with the creditors. Go see, in Australia, we've got financial counsellors. You go see them, get some assistance, get some guidance, make budgets, do all that stuff. Make sure your affairs are ready first, then do it. So if you've got like $100,000 debt and you're going to quit your job, but you haven't prepared to actually sort that issue out, that could be a problem. But if you put in the time, you've proven that you can get past all that, that's when you can do that. But and you just keep persevering it. Like I persevered at the budgeting stuff for a good 12 months before, and it was funny. It all happened at the right time. Everything was in the right spot when I actually made the decision. You know, the opportunity just came. But yeah, awareness that strengthens the perseverance. So if you look at truequit.com and watch Michael Gregory's video, that I don't get anything from that. I'm just recommending someone that really has been great help to me. But if you go there, learn his meditation, it does help. Yeah, but any sort of meditation may help. Everyone's different. Some people like closed-eyed meditation, whereas I like to be, what's physically around me. So, yeah.
And is the final advice, Christopher, you want to share, because we want to conclude the session? And before that, just any advice you want to, a real talk, and any practical tips or the direct advice you want to share, please.
Yeah. One more thing, we need to go back to that one of those questions that I couldn't answer earlier. bring that one up.
Yeah. That question was actually just let me share. That was this one. What was the single hardest decision you had to make when restarting at midlife?
Okay, so the single hardest decision I had to make was actually deciding on the name of the business. I know it sounds silly, but actually, it was actually hitting the go button originally when I first registered. I was umming and ahhing about it for a good 3 to 4 weeks, but because I knew that once I hit that button, there's no turning back. Pretty much where I would be at that point in time is frozen, and then things were going to change naturally. I knew that potentially it would cost the marriage, it would cost my life at the time, as I'll be completely changing what I do. And also because of the risk that I'm spending more money to start a business, that the risk that the business could fail, that was also a scary part of the decision. I'm like, what if this happens? But I had to forget all what ifs. I just hit the button to see it. That's part of me, like that's the impulsive part of me that does that, and that's one of my sort of gifts of seeing the bigger picture and hitting that go button. A lot of people are not risk adverse, are they? You just got to, if you don't take a risk, there's no reward. Is the moral of the story here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christopher, and for sharing for sharing your powerful journey and your authentic insight today. So definitely, on behalf of everyone, we truly appreciate your openness, your wisdom, and your generosity in sharing lessons from your life and career. And we wish you continued success, and we look forward to more sessions where you help others rise, rebuild, and reinvent. And see you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And just one more thing before we go, 3 takeaways I've got. Use your tech skills to solve real-world problems. Systems equals sanity. Freedom starts from honesty, not just location, and use a lot of kindness, and always give. They're actually 4 takeaways I wanted to share.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
me today.
Thank you.